Hello, welcome to this episode of CalTV, sponsored by Calvary Robotics Advancing Technology. Today, I can't, thrilled isn't even really a great word. We have such a wonderful group joining us today, distinguished guests, particularly around a topic that's very near to my heart, and it is the Joe Engelberger Award. And our guests today, these distinguished guests, are all recipients of the Joe Engelberger Award. Except for Jeff Burnstein, because he's a future award winner. He's going to also join us from the A3 as the president of the Association for Advancing Automation. So our guest today, there's an annual award that's giving out, and I like to use an analogy of it's kind of a mix between the Hall of Fame for our industry and I would say the Nobel Prize. In fact, there's only 128 that have been selected historically for this award, and you think about the thousands of people that are involved in our industry and across these four sectors: technology, education, leadership, and application. We have today joining us three of these distinguished recipients of this award. To give you a little background of these people, Martin Bueller, he's the CTO of Wavemaker Labs. And I'm sure he can talk more about that. Wavemaker Labs is a corporate innovation and product development incubator. We also have with us, and a very people know she's one of my heroes, Catherine Morris. She received the award for leadership, and that she's semi-retired now. She was the director of auto sales for ATI many years there, bringing that company from a small company to a global leader in that space. And today she's a consulting specialist helping people and companies connect throughout our industry. So we have technology for Martin, leadership for Catherine, and we also have Rory Cooper. He's the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Research for Health Sciences, and again, near to my heart, STEM collaboration at the University of Pittsburgh. Also has served as the Distinguished Professor of FISA Foundation for Paralyzed Veterans as the American Professor. I also want to thank him for that, as my son is a veteran. So, and he got the award for applications. Another gentleman was, unfortunately, due to some conflict of time, was not able to join us. But Hendrick Christensen, he's the director of robotics, distinguished professor from the University of California, San Diego. He is today the co-founder of Robust AI, an early stage startup focused on building an industrial strength cognitive platform. And then my final guest here, Jeff Burnstein. I mentioned earlier, he's the president of the Association for Advancing Automation. Jeff has, although he's only 25 years old, has been with the association since 1983. So he really started early. Anyway, these are distinguished. I want to thank you all for being part of this and spending a little time with us and our audience to talk a little bit about the Joe Engelberger Award. Before I go further and talk to each of them, I would like that maybe Jeff can give us a little background on the Joe Engelberger Award, what it means and where it came from.
Thanks, Joe, and thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here with past Engelberger Award winners and to talk about the award. It's one of the most important things that we do in the robotics industry is honor those who have achieved so much. The award dates back to 1977, and in those days, Joe Engelberger was very active in selecting the winners, and it makes sense because he is the pioneer of the robotics industry. His company, Unimation, launched the first industrial robot application in the world, in the United States, in 1961. So he knew everybody involved in robotics at that time, and he knew who the leaders were. And it was great that he was taking a hands-on role in helping us identify people who should win the award. It's grown. People from all over the world have won this award. Not just the US, but Japan and Korea and Germany and Italy and France and Switzerland and Sweden, in so many places. It's become known again globally, as you said, Joe, very much like the Nobel Prize of robotics. And when I call people to tell them they've been selected to win the award, people who've been in this industry a long time are just floored. They can't believe that they've been selected. And I think it's a great testament to how important this award is.
Yeah, and again, this is a selection from your peers, and as we talked about, thousands and thousands of people involved in this industry, and to be in this, I say, exclusive group that get this award, I tell you, I'm in awe. I get goosebumps when I meet people like you and talk to you about what that means and the contributions you've made, and certainly many have made contributions to be selected among those to get that distinguished representation from your peers. I mean, that's just going to be, I mean, spine tingling for you. So I'd like to ask you a little bit, each of you that we have here today. Rory, let's start with you. What was it like when you got that call or that email that said, you know, what did it mean to you to be a recipient of this award?
To me, it was amazing. As you noted, I mean, it's one of those things that you're kind of shocked and awed when when you get the call from Jeff saying that you've been selected to receive the award. And for me, what made it even more special was when I was in the Army, I married a young woman from Germany. We been married for nearly 40 years now. And my award was presented in Munich. And her sister literally lived down the street from where the award was presented. So I was able to bring family from Germany with me to the awards presentation. And it's one of those things that if you work in this field, oftentimes your family doesn't quite understand what you do. I think they were, it was really special for them to come to the award ceremony and learn a little about what I did and what the other recipients of the Engelberger, what their accomplishments were that year. It was really tremendous. And it's interesting that you mentioned it because it still affects my life to this day, right? A few years ago, we got a new senior vice chancellor for research, and that was one of the first things he noticed was, you're an Engelberger recipient?
It certainly gives me chills. Thanks for sharing that with us. And Catherine, I got to ask you next. 'Cause you know that we've known each other a very very long time, and I'm really honored to not only have the opportunity to work with you in many committees and certainly in industry, and you've been a mentor and a hero to me, as I said, through the years. What was it like for you? Because you were, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, you were actually the first woman to also receive the award in leadership for our industry. And so again, it's an exclusive club as it is that we have this, but you had that additional distinction of being the first woman. If I stand corrected, go ahead. But what was it like for you?
The first woman in North America. But yes, and truthfully, to be quite honest, my first reaction was disbelief. And to understand a little bit about that, I need to tell you a little bit about my history. So my history was not in robotics, it was not in engineering. I was a high school physical education teacher and coach. I was an athlete, and I had taught high school physical education for 10 years. I got the opportunity to help out at ATI. I was the mother of two wonderful girls, and truthfully, I just needed some time out of the house. And Robert Little, the director of sales and marketing at ATI at the time, said, you seem like you would kind of be a good salesperson, or can you help us out with sales? And so I did that, and really from the first moment that I did my first call, which was a cold call, I found out that I had found my niche. It was just what I was supposed to do. Now, also beneficial to ATI was that they had made the very wise decision to align themselves with RIA. And so wherever and whatever RIA said to do, that's what ATI did. And one of the things that they did was RIA sponsored very great networking opportunities at their annual meeting every year. And it was there at those meetings that I started to meet industry icons like Aki Lindquist and Kevin Osby and Craig Jennings and Rich Litt and John Berg and Gemma and Dean Elkins and Jeff Burnstein and all these people. And surprising to me, in that setting, everybody was so open to letting me be a sponge because, like I said, that was not my background. And so I was able to develop these relationships with all these what I call industry icons. They led me, they guided me, they mentored me. And then all of a sudden, I found myself so enamored with this industry that I really felt like I became the industry's best cheerleader. I felt like I reached out and was able to, as a peer in the industry with other companies, I was able to get them to realize the benefits of membership in the association, not from the association telling them, but from some other small company that had benefited from RA membership. So for me, it was just an unbelievable call when Jeff called, just to feel like that I was in the same company as some of those people that had mentored me was just truly unbelievable. And like Rory said, to this day, it's just a designation to be distinguished as an Engelberger Award winner that it's just difficult to put into words how gratifying it is to have your kind of work on behalf of the industry recognized.
It is interesting you say that your background wasn't really a benefit, but in fact, you won the award for leadership. And if you're a good coach, you're a leader. If you're a good coach, you're a mentor. And certainly, so those lessons maybe you got from earlier in your other career actually helped you in this career, because certainly you're a leader we all looked up to, we all learned from. You're a great leader in our industry and certainly have done more for this industry than people recognize. And I applaud you, as well as certainly to Rory and Martin, what they've done. So Martin, let's come to you. So you won the award for technology. And in fact, I think you got the award overseas. You received it as Rory did. Tell us a little bit about that, what that felt like when you got that email, phone call. I'm assuming you made a personal phone call. What was that like? And I'm getting chills talking about it again, but maybe share that with us.
Well, it was similar to, I think, everybody's reaction to get such an amazing honor. I mean, I fell off the chair. I was flabbergasted. I was speechless. I was, had to pick my chin off the floor. And, I think it was Bill Townsend who contacted me about being nominated. And of course, there was a whole process then that involved a lot of people whom I'm super grateful. Lots of peers that provided letters so Bill Townsend led the selection team, and Hendrick, who couldn't unfortunately make it, he actually nominated me. And of course, Jeff, you were leading the whole show there. So thank you for your service and running that whole process. That was a great experience for me. And then actually receiving the award is really hands down the greatest recognition and honor of my professional career. Absolutely. And there's a bit of a backstory on that. I started in academia. I was a professor for 12 years at McGill University, and had an absolute blast. But in terms of, growing up, I'm a very hands-on, pragmatic person, and I never really felt I would retire in academia. My sight was always set on industry. And, during that whole journey, Joe Engelberger was really an inspiration. And he was really my idol, even before I got the award. So getting this award was meaningful in so many ways. And it was also meaningful, like high level in terms of marking a milestone in this journey from academia to industry. And it was a really tough one, because once you've been in academia for 12 years, getting the street cred, quote unquote, in industry that you can actually deliver real product to real people is not that easy. And, it took me just about the better part of 10 years for that. And in a way, Joe Engelberger has been along that journey in spirit with me during that whole time. In fact, funny, in a way, he was with me from the very beginning. When I was born in 1961, which is when he clocked in the year of the age of robotics, of course, unbeknownst to me at that time. At that time, the greatest honor, as Chuck Thorpe was saying, was to be named by your mother, which is only higher honor than being named to be an Engelberger Award winner. But anyway, so I found out about Joe Engelberger. Many years later, 1984, after I came off the proverbial boat from my native Germany and studied at Yale University, and a fellow student actually had worked a couple of years with Joe Engelberger at TRC, the Transition Research Corporation in Danbury, Connecticut. And he told me all about Joe, and I read up about him, and I was fascinated by him and his accomplishments, his philosophy. And yeah, he became my idol. And his philosophy of, or his being of having really great vision, standing on the shoulders of giants, but yet being very practical. And also this idea like, hey, we got all the technologies we need. Let's build it. We can build it now, and let's just focus on what the need is in industry. And he totally lived that, and that's so fit what I aspire to. So yeah, he was a sort of constant companion in my quest to make that transition.
Hey, Jeff, I just realized a thread here. All three of them spent time in education. That's what we missed out calling them. We have to go back into education for us to be among these icons someday. Well, thank you for sharing that. And Jeff, tell us a little bit about the process of getting nominated. How does that even work for our audience that might not know? What does that look like?
Anybody can nominate a person for the Engelberger Award. And once they're nominated, their nomination can be considered forever. And that's really interesting because there are times when, because it's almost a lifetime achievement award, that people are nominated early in their career but aren't given a lot of consideration early on. Maybe somebody identified them as somebody who's really an up-and-comer in the industry, but the people who are looking at it are looking at it from, let's see what happens over time. And so by the time people win an Engelberger Award, they've been doing something significant almost in every case for at least a decade or more. And so that makes the award even more, I think, respected. Because this isn't, you did one thing and you win an award for it. This is over time.
I'm just going to say, kind of going along with that, and like your comment about athletes, but just being mentored by that group encouraged me to get more involved in the industry. And so I started out by volunteering with the marketing committee, and then moved to the membership committee, and then was elected to the RA board of directors, and at one point chaired the RA board. Again, the first woman doing that. But probably the thing that I'm most proud of is that along with the staff, Jeff Burnstein and his team, and Dean Elkins at the time, we knew that the old Robot and Vision show was a show that was just not going where it needed to be. So I was responsible for the committee after Dean Elkins kind of started that group, but responsible for the committee that really rebranded Robot Vision show into Automate. And Automate now, as we all know, is the best trade show in North America, if not the world. And so I think just from the opportunity to be mentored by those great leaders in our industry gave me the confidence to lead. And then, like I said, for some reason, people listened to me. And I think maybe it was just like a non-threatening voice, but very persuasive to join the industry, to exhibit at Automate, but also doing that, and then also trying to talk to more women to get them into this industry has just been, it's kind of given me a platform to be able to do that, being recognized as an Engelberger Award winner.
And Catherine, I think I believe that's one of the great contributions you had, and people listen to you because you had a vision, and you could communicate that vision, and people followed you as a leader because they understood the vision and believed in that vision. And that's truly a real value you brought in your leadership roles, many of them in our industry, but certainly that one in transforming what was seen as you say, a show around a particular technology and expanded it to automation technologies across the whole spectrum. And today it's more dynamic than ever. And now it's more and more, as you said, the Automate Show is capturing all those technologies and giving a place for it to be displayed for the world to come and see and understand and communicate with technology leaders in that space. So again, I applaud you along with the rest of the industry for leading that charge and again having that vision and communicating it to the rest of us.
Yeah,
So,
and Joe,
sorry, go ahead,
oh, I was
Jeff.
going to add just one thing about the selection process. Martin sort of referred to it. There are committees of peers in the space of each award. So, leadership has people looking at, leadership, but also education, technology, and application. There are people who are looking at that who are peers of the winners in those because they know leaders in each of these different categories.
So they really are, as I said earlier, they're selected by their peers. Sorry, go ahead, gentlemen.
Yeah, I can attest to that. It was first a great honor to find out that I was nominated, but then it was quite a process. It was a bit of a nail biter because I thought, oh my God, I'm competing against all of these amazing people. There's no chance in hell I'm going to win this thing. But anyway, so it was also great to reach out to all my peers and reconnect with a lot of them to solicit their input. And lo and behold, it worked, and it worked out, and it was amazing.
To me, one of the things that's exciting is that I work in robotic technology for older adults or for people with disabilities, and to see that the selection committee valued that work, right? That the work on behalf of people that are often overlooked and not actually thought of as benefiting from robotics technology were viewed as deserving of an Engelberger. So in some ways, it was a recognition for the field, right?
And again, I'm sure my audience applauds and thanks you. That was certainly a great contribution. Again, all of you, the contributions you made, certainly a great contribution and near and dear to my heart. Fortunately, my son hasn't had any traumatic events in his life, but he's a lifetime military person. So I've been a great supporter of the military to see they have that kind of effort. And again, the STEM thing that you're involved in, and all of us, I've been a long proponent of that in my career, saying that we should have education, we should have government, we should have industry working together to try to build the educational environment around that, and STEM is a leading strategy to make that work. So thank you for your work there also.
Well, so Joe, I'm also a veteran. That's part of my passion stems from that. So, and for those of your audience that don't know, I'm also a person with a disabilities. I mean, Jeff has met me before, but I use a wheelchair for mobility, and that sort of was motivation when I saw other people and what robotics could do for them.
Great, thank you. So, by the way, my wife and I are celebrating 42 years this year, so we're about the same thing, except I'm a lot younger than you. We started at 5. No. Anyway, but I did want to ask you. So, what worry? I mean, you certainly continue to contribute. What's next for you? What are you working on that our audience might be interested in knowing about?
Well, we continue to work in robotics. Probably we kind of are working as two little bit separate areas here, but one of it is robotics for employment for people with disabilities, or to help people stay employed longer so they don't acquire disabilities. So we've just been working with Amazon on a project to introduce robotic workstations into their fulfillment centers in order to keep people working longer and to enable people with disabilities to be gainfully employed and fully productive. And then kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, we've been working with a company called Next Health on what we call the Agile Life robot. And it's a wheelchair robotic bed that work together in concert so that people can go from their powered wheelchairs into bed without having to be lifted or even touched by another person. And so this would allow, well, if I can tell a little story, we took this to our local veterans home, and the spouse of one of the veterans saw one of the early prototypes, and she asked a lot of questions and came back about an hour later with her husband's physician and said, I'd like one of these for my husband so I can take him home. And he had been in a nursing home for 3 years. We worked with a company to create one for her, and she was able to take her husband home. And the ability to get in and out of bed and on and off the toilet, and especially think about older spouse with an older person, that's a limiting factor oftentimes, and not everybody has the help that they need. And so we were able to, and we continue to work in that area, expanding the usage and expanding the people that can use this technology, but to allow them to people to live at home longer with dignity.
By the way, Rory, since you're still involved in education, when Jeff and I go back to school to get our education degrees so we can be in this distinguished group, we're going to take your classes. Right, Jeff? There you go. There you go. So, Catherine, I know you didn't fully retire, and we're glad you haven't as an industry because you've been such a great contribution. What are you working on? What do you want to tell our audience that you're doing to help?
Well, it sounds like I'm older than all of you guys because I taught school for 10 years. I was at ATI for 26 years, so you guys can do the math. And I did retire, but I also found out that I really missed the industry. So I've been doing a little bit of consulting, when I feel like it, when it's a startup or a company that I can help them make connections, a little bit of coaching in the sales role, like what's important. It's all about relationships. It's all about communication. So I have the best of both worlds. If I feel like working, I work. If I don't feel like working, I don't work. So it's really good. But yeah, I did fully retire. I had planned to have a big send off at Automate 2021, and we all know what happened to that one. But I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at Automate in this year, so
And we are envious, by the way. We hope to get where you are soon enough in our life and going forward and have that balance. So we're envious of that. Martin, so I'm sure you're still continue to work on things and contributions. What are you working on? Share on with our audience, if you would, things that you can excite them about.
Sounds good. Yeah, there's plenty of areas to get excited about. I mean, as you all know, there's so much need for robotics everywhere to the benefit of humankind for all kinds of reasons in all fields. I mean, such a great time to be alive, to be in robotics. Specifically at Wavemaker Labs, we have a variety of really cool startups, again, mostly in the agriculture and food space. Two of the companies I want to just call out that are some of the more advanced ones. Like one is in the outdoor mowing space. So we have this startup called Graze Mowing, Graze, Graze Mowing. And we're developing a completely autonomous, robotic, commercial mower. So, there are already lots of more residentially targeted mowers around that are quite popular, especially in Europe, and they're catching on here in the US as well. But this is, we're doing commercial mowing, like large areas with mowing crews. And this is really a very fertile ground for robots, in part because, for many reasons. One is that the environmental regulations are such that, especially in California, in a couple of years, you won't be able to buy gas-powered mowers anymore. So it's a really important thing for the environment, and just from a regulatory perspective, you got to go electric. And that also has some benefits besides the not reducing the pollution. It also reduces noise, which is really important because a lot of properties are close to where humans live. And plus, it's a lot safer to run these mowers without a person right next to them or on top of them. So it's a really, really good story. And it's something we can do today. The spirit of Engelberger, we got everything we need to make this happen. Let's no need to wait. We don't have to do everything. We don't have to do everything perfectly. It just has to be safe. And there's plenty of areas that are ripe for the picking, as they say. Commercial mowing.
And I would agree. The technology today is just absolutely incredible. It's faster and faster and more dynamic than ever. But I can tell you, I'm quite sure all the greenskeepers that are listening in on this in the future will say, we applaud you because you'll save us a lot of resources and capabilities and safety. And the golf courses all around the world, so certainly in California and elsewhere. So thanks for that contribution, too. I'm a golfer. Not a really good one, but I'm a golfer.
yeah, that's been the exciting thing with me with consulting is I've always it seems like I'm drawn to the companies that are new to me. Like I worked with a vision company and artificial intelligence, things that in my old former life as a salesperson for ATI, it was more in the mechanical world. So it's been a lot of a good education for me to kind of get introduced and familiar with a lot of these new technologies like vision and artificial intelligence.
The one thing I didn't mention, which is driving, of course, a lot of robotics applications everywhere, is labor shortage. I mean, labor shortage everywhere. Logistics, food, ag. That's a big driver as well, including the commercial mowing.
And that's a global problem. It's not a problem just localized here. It is a growing global problem.
Not only labor shortage, I would argue opening up the labor market too, right? Expanding opportunities for people.
That's right. The different technologies, it raises the income capabilities for people too. It's a great opportunity. Again, that whole thing we talked about with education and helping build that. Jeff, what's new and exciting at the Associate for Advancing Automation, or A3 as we like to call it?
Well, we've alluded to it a couple times. Automate 2022 that's coming up in Detroit, June 6th to the 9th, and that's where the Engelberger Awards ceremony will take place in the U.S. this year on Wednesday evening, June 8th, where we'll announce 3 winners. And then because we missed last year because of the pandemic, we're going to be in Munich again a few weeks later on June 20th during the International Symposium on Robotics there as part of Automatica. We'll be presenting 3 more awards this year. So we'll have a total of 6 winners this year. And that's really exciting because that was more people I could reach out to and more people who were falling off their chairs. So that was really fun. But yeah, right now we're really focused on Automate. It's going to be a fantastic show. As Catherine said, it's grown into the largest automation show in North America. We'll have over 500 companies, 250,000 square feet of exhibit space. We expect to have over 20,000 attendees. We'll have a 5-day conference with over 1,000 attendees at the conference. This is, all these technologies, as each of you have said, are coming together to create all sorts of new applications that don't only just help industry, but help transform our lives and make our lives better. And that's really exciting. And that's part of Joe's vision. Engelberger talked about, it's great what we're doing in manufacturing, but the future is what we can do in the service to people. And that's where we're headed. And that's what's really exciting about the future, not only of the industry, but of the Engelberger world.
Yep, it is. It's absolutely the most exciting time, I think, in our world history for so many reasons, but certainly from a technology and automation level, it's dynamic and exciting. And glad we're part of it, and glad that the association will be sharing that through the Automate show for everyone to be able to come to and experience those technologies. So I'd like to again thank you all, our guests here to join us. Martin Bueller, he again was the award winner for technology, the CTO of Wavemaker Labs. Rory Cooper, he won the award for applications. Again, many areas that he's contributed, but the assistant vice chair, chancellor, for research and for health and sciences and the STEM collaboration, University of Pittsburgh. And Catherine Morris, my dear friend and semi-retired specialist in helping us connect through the industry. Thank you again for joining in, Jeff. Of course, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thanks for helping us put this together and have these distinguished people. I do want autographed pictures of all of you that I can hang in my office, so please keep that in mind next time I see you. Again, thank you all for being part of this. Really appreciate you joining the CalTV episode. We'll be airing this, and you certainly were great contributions to this. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for including me.
Thank you.